Hi Nikita, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
So Nikita, can you tell me something about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Nikita Wagmare. I have completed MCS from Pune University. I
Hmm.
have 3 years experience in manual as well as automation testing as
Hmm.
a QA in mid-range technology. I have used in automation testing in BDD Cucumber framework and TestNG framework.
Hmm. Hmm.
In my company, my roles and responsibilities. Firstly, I check mail, then I will get update about defect, being it is fixed or not.
Hmm.
Or then we check in that defect management tools in Jira,
Hmm.
and then we attend daily stand-up calls regarding what did yesterday and what you do you today
Hmm.
in agile methodology. Firstly, we understand requirement
Hmm.
and then analysis it, and then we develop test plans regarding testing, what is scope and timelines, deliverables and resources about this testing. And we create a test scenario as well as test cases about detailed explanation in test cases.
Hmm.
Then we validated for test data, and test case review might be positive test cases as well as negative test cases,
Hmm.
m- or might be covered in test cases functional testing, or might be covered in non-functional test cases covered in that test plans review. And after that we executed the test cases in executed how many test cases pass and how many test cases fails in
Hmm.
defect reporting tools.
Correct, correct, great. Okay, so you are using BDD. So can you elaborate about BDD, what and the framework that you are using? So can you elaborate about the automation framework and the way how you are using BDD in that?
uh,
Hmm.
Actually, in my project, we have used BDT Cucumber in depend upon what is the scenario and what is
Hmm.
the about this defect, how you executed in that. Firstly, we check the scenario of, related to
Hmm.
feature files. If we use features files in annotations in that. Annotation in that when give sorry given when, and then scenario views, and annotations also used in that, and background annotations, uh, how to use and executed test scripts in that use in BD Cucumber. And test definition file in executed code of this script,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
run options we are use, and run annotations use.
Hmm. Okay. Now let me share my screen. So this is one of the e-commerce website. Are you able to see?
Yeah.
Hmm? Now you are supposed to come up with the keywords for this search box, search functionality. So can you tell me the keywords for search functionality? Which keywords you will use?
Search box. Firstly, given keyword used for launch the application and in which browsers view, then we given keyword used for user ID and passwords, then after login I will find search options, and then in then keyword in what the product found in the, suppose I have found a watch.
Hmm.
At that time I have used the when sorry then keyword. which product I have found, and with what is the price, and all detailed explanation about this product.
See, given is a precondition, right? Your
Okay.
URL is getting launched. When is the action keyword? What you are supposed to do. So let's say you are entering mobile in the search box here. So
Okay.
you should get all the search results of mobile. Or if you enter chocolates, you should get all the search results of chocolate. So when is your action keyword, right?
Okay.
And then is your verification point, the checkpoint that
Hmm.
these many chocolates are displayed, or the price of the chocolates are displayed, or the name of the chocolate has been displayed. So that will come in your then keyword. Are you
Hmm.
using and keyword anywhere?
No,
Not yet. Okay,
not
fine.
it.
And keyword can be used for attaching screenshots. At times
Okay.
you are running smoke test and you'll get to know about, so you'll get to know why tests have failed. You can use to get those results from the screenshot. So you can use and keyword for attaching the screenshots.
Okay.
Hmm, okay. How will you automate a frame in Selenium?
Frame in Selenium.
Frame in Selenium. Yeah, let's say you are automating a web page which is having a frame control. Then how will you automate it?
Uh, Actually, when we of number of frames, we iframes use for this in we iframes use in that for that.
Right, right. Frames or iframes. So how will you deal with them?
Mm,
So let me assist you there.
okay.
See, you can switch to that particular frame. There are various ways how you can deal with the frame. One is
Mm,
by name, one is by index, one is by web element. So first let us see by name. So you can use driver dot switch to dot frame, and within the double inverted comma you can enter the frame name, the name of that frame. Then you
okay.
can also insert the index, right? You can also use the web element. If you want to exit from that particular frame, you can use this driver dot switch to dot default content, right? This is
Okay.
how you can deal with the frame things. Fine. Now, which are the different locators that you are using for automation?
Okay.
Hmm,
Uh, in automations, in Selenium, we have used ID,
hmm,
ID name, by name, by
hmm,
class name,
hmm,
by partial link text, partial
hmm.
link text, by XPath, by CSS selectors.
Okay. What is XPath?
Okay, XPath we found the exact. Exact element found in, and how to whenever that's time we use experts, suppose we have not find id class or others, that's time we have used experts with exact find the node, and related to element node I found in that element. It is a we have also with we have used dynamics. Suppose we have suppose web application is a dynamics type stem, we use mostly upon XPath.
Right. Which are the different types of XPath?
Absolute XPath and relative XPath.
Hmm. Absolute XPath and relative XPath.
Relative
So
XPath.
which
In that,
XPath will you prefer to go for?
mostly I use relative XPaths. We have used we are using double slash tag name in bracket attribute, and is equal to in value what is this in application. In that node find in the XPath, and it is a suppose any id or other kind of element change, that some XPaths not um, defect found in the that stamp views relative XPath.
See, if someone is asking you this kind of question, so you can say, what is XPath? So XPath is one of the locator. right?
Yeah.
It's a powerful locator which is used to navigate through elements and attributes in an XML document. Similarly, you can use it in a web page as
Yeah.
well. You can use to, it will help you to locate those elements within an HTML page or within a web page itself, right? Selenium will not interact directly with your UI. It would
Mm,
need the address, it would need the locator to
mm,
go and find it. For example, you might be from some XYZ location, but
mm.
if your friend wants to connect with you, wants to meet you in person, she will ask you the location, she'll ask you the address, you'll provide her the location, then and then only your friend would be able to come and meet you.
Yeah.
So XPath is a locator which is used to locate the elements. So Selenium will interact, the WebDriver will interact with the web element using this kind of locators, right? And
Mm,
the syntax of XPath, you have single slash, which is for absolute XPath. You have double slash. It is used to select elements anywhere in the document. So this you'll be using for relative XPath.
relative.
This you'll be using for absolute XPath, right? Then you have tag name. So you can select elements by tag. Example, div select all, right? You have
Mm,
attributes. So you can create an XPath using attributes as well, right? So these are the ways how you can come up with the your own XPath as well, your customized XPath,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, what is the use of desired capabilities in Selenium?
These are capabilities.
Hmm.
I don't aware about this.
Okay, very easy. See, desired capabilities. How you want that browser to act before you trigger your automation. How you
Okay.
desire. So we at times, we have some use cases, some requirements which are related to that browser. So using desired capabilities, you can set the properties of the browser before WebDriver initializes, right?
Okay.
For example, if you want to configure the browser options like incognito mode or setting some preferences, right? Then you can use desired capabilities in that case. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Now, desired capabilities. Then let us see about, okay, what is WebDriver?
WebDriver, it is an interface.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in your automation framework, where have you initialized WebDriver?
WebDriver driver is equal to new
Right,
find
you
elements.
you you'll
Depend.
initialize, yeah,
Uh,
you'll initialize it, but
locators.
where, yeah,
Hmm?
where have you initialized it?
After the launch the browser path, then we write WebDriver in which find element or in that locators. That's time we use WebDriver driver.
But in which class actually you have initialized it?
Oh,
In which
class.
class you have initialized? Yeah,
Um,
it would be, you might have one base class in which you would have initialized the WebDriver,
yeah.
right?
uh,
Okay, so you are aware about TestNG, right?
yeah.
What is thread count in TestNG?
Sorry.
Thread count. What is thread count?
Thread count.
Yeah,
Mm. It is thread count actually test engine is the next generations.
mm,
We have used number of test cases executed at one time.
correct.
Uh, in TestNG, grouply executed test cases, or how many test cases pass, how many test cases fail, and how many test cases skipped. In every reported in that TestNG, in the TestNG report, uh, we use annotations for TestNG. test suite, before test, before test, after test, before class, after class. Uh,
Right. So those are annotations, right?
Yeah.
Now, thread count. What is thread count? So thread count is an attribute in TestNG, right? Which you can use for running the test methods itself. So you would have seen TestNG XML file, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm,
there you will be able to see the thread count attribute, right? If you keep that value greater than 1, then the TestNG will create multiple threads and it will distribute all the test methods for parallel execution. So when you want to run the test parallelly in Chrome browser, in Edge browser, Firefox, concurrently, parallelly, simultaneously, then you will deal with this thread count. Okay.
okay.
In how many ways we can pass the parameter values to the test methods?
How many?
Ways we can pass the parameter values to the test methods.
Mm,
So are you aware about
no.
data provider method? Okay. So you have data provider method, you have this at the rate test annotation parameters with the help of which you can pass parameters values
Okay.
to for test automation purpose.
Okay.
Okay. Now, how will you ignore a test case in TestNG?
Uh, suppose this test cases is a duplicate or
Hmm, hmm.
repeated tested. That time we have ignore these test cases.
But how would you ignore it? How would you ensure that you are ignoring that test case at the time of run?
Uh,
You have to
that's
ignore
time.
that test case. Yeah. Mm,
That's time we firstly the check the how test cases is executed or not. Then we suppose I have test time. I want if you want that time not it is repeated or not on priority.
mm,
These test cases. That's time we ignore these test cases from my side, and
mm.
reported to the developers it is not on priority, or otherwise it is on duplicated test cases.
Okay. See, you can disable a TestNG. So I'll tell you the code.
Okay.
See, by writing this at the rate test, enabled equal to true, enabled equal to false, you can disable
Hmm.
the test case, right? You can enable the test case,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, enable.
Similarly, here you'll get disable test, or you can say enabled equal to false, right? That's
Yeah.
how you can disable the test case, or you can ignore the test case
Hmm.
as well.
Hmm.
Hmm. You can write enabled equal to false as well here.
Okay.
So here you can write enabled equal to false. So that particular test case will not run for your execution.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. False.
Right. Right. Now, let's say you have to give test estimation for the search feature, which we just saw in the call. We saw on that e-commerce website search feature was there, right?
Hmm.
So that for that particular thing, you have to give the estimation. So how would you give that estimation?
Paste estimation code.
Hmm. How would you give that estimation for the search feature?
Which kind of search features related
Yeah.
to?
So let me show you that search feature. It's here. See, it's an e-commerce website which we
Yeah.
just discussed. This is a search feature which you have to automate. So how much time would you need? for automating this search feature?
Just depend which
Hmm.
browsers we have loaded it is
Hmm.
applications, and that's time it taken just a fraction of seconds, and otherwise number of lots of time taking these applications, and search.
So how much time would you need to automate this feature? How would you give that estimation that how much time is required for doing end-to-end automation?
mm, no, actually no idea
Hmm.
about.
Okay. See, if you have to give the estimation,
uh,
so while giving estimation, what all things you'll do is, let me open a browser here so that I can explain you. Uh,
it's depend on network environment, how
not
the application
not the network actually. See how much time you need. How
time.
much
Okay.
time you need to automate the search feature. Basically, it's a test estimation thing,
Okay.
right? Okay, now you will first see whether the test cases are written for that features or not, manual test cases, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
second thing, you will check if all the test cases are executed and
Yes.
the functionality is stable, right? Then
Mm.
if above 2 points hold true, then the third thing you will check is that do you have, so you have existing framework, you have test automation framework in which you have to add the scripts, or I would say that automated test for this feature, search feature. Then what you would do is you would um, and you mentioned it was a BDD for you, so you'll see if the keywords are written, right? So you'll start
Mm.
writing by the keywords, right? It might take some X hours. Then you'll design the locators, or you can say the pages for that particular screen or the
Mm.
search options, right? The locator, you will identify the pages, you will create page object model, the design pattern. So before doing anything, you will create the pages for that. Fifth is you will write the test. So in the step definition file, you will write the code for them, right?
Mm.
Then what you would do is you will run the test. You'll perform unit testing and you'll create a pull request for your code to get reviewed, right? Once pull request is created, then what you would do is your managers or leads, whomsoever is reviewing your code, they might review the code, they might say it's okay, Nikita, your code is good. Then you'll
Mm.
push that code. If they give you some feedback, then again you'll update the code and you'll update the PR as well. Then again you will send it for the review. Then if it is fine, you will push the code and then your code would be merged. After merging, you can again check for whether DevOps integration you can do before, you can do after as well, depends on the process in the companies. And then you can run the test and then you can see whether everything is working fine. So all these are small, small tasks which will contribute to your, sorry, test estimation.
Okay.
Okay. And this is how you will give the estimation for your automated test.
Yes.
How many test cases are there? Are those executed? Are all the test cases feasible for automation or not?
Mm.
Hmm? So that's how you will figure out. Great, great. Okay, fine. Now, Let us see some other question. Okay, what is stale element reference exception?
Sorry, which
What is
element?
stale element reference exception?
Stale.
Yeah, stale element reference exception.
Derivation.
Are you aware about exceptions in Selenium? What are the different exceptions that you are getting in Selenium?
Uh, Actually, I just know about related to the suppose exception runtime exceptions, not
Okay,
visible exception,
okay.
uh, uh, web Selenium
So what
element
is
not visible exceptions.
element not visible? So let's say you are getting element not visible exception, right?
Yeah.
So how would you deal with that exception? How would you work with that with your automation script? What would you do in your automation script such that that exception goes away?
What?
So,
Suppose
hmm,
suppose uh, not found implicit weight in suppose we have the not time of period interval not found the element that's time throwing the element not visible exceptions and
so let me tell you one thing. See, what is stale element reference exception? So stale element reference exception will come when your element was
mm,
earlier present, but currently it is not there in the DOM. It's not visible to you, right? Now, what you will have to do to handle it is you will have to wait for that element to be present again using explicit wait, right? So what you can
yeah
do is you can refresh the page and you can relocate
mm,
that element, right?
element
Are you aware about explicit wait?
yeah
Okay. So what is the difference between explicit wait and implicit wait?
yeah when implicit weight is it's a time period of fraction of time period is wait for and that time then after we a certain amount of time period waiting and then after throwing element not visible exceptions and as
Hmm.
well as explicit weight in fraction of lots long time periods of long time period waiting then as to with except throwing exceptions that's then we throwing exceptions long a long time period or with also with conditions with executed and explicit with is throwing exceptions in element clickable element not visible exception element not disable this type of exception throwing implicit weight.
Okay. But the exceptions that you are telling, I think in both the things you told the same exceptions actually.
No, actually, in
Mm.
that implicit weight in mm, certain amount of time period waiting, just few seconds of time of interval waiting. But in implicit wait in long time period wait in that, and then after throwing exception.
So you mean when you have to wait for smaller duration of time, you'll use
Yeah,
implicit wait. When you have to wait for longer duration of time, you'll use explicit wait in that case.
yeah, right.
Mhm. See, implicit wait and explicit wait both are different, and it actually depends on what is your requirement, what type of automation you are trying to achieve, right?
mm,
So let me share my screen. See, implicit wait, it is by default applied to all the elements in the script, right? Whether it
mm,
is one element or multiple, it will be applied to all. Explicit wait is applicable to only a certain element, which is
mm,
specific to a certain condition,
mm.
right? And in the explicit wait, you can wait with respect to specific condition,
Also,
but here specific condition is not there, right? So
mm,
the difference between implicit wait and explicit wait is more, these are very important points. It is specific to a certain condition in explicit wait, right? So
yeah.
explicit wait is subjected to a dynamic nature. It can wait for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15, 20, right?
Mm, mm,
It is, this implicit wait is usually used when you are sure the element may be visible in a certain time period itself, right? In that case,
yeah.
you'll go for implicit wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Nakit. Okay, Nikita, I'm done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.